Hi, welcome to Sage Health TV. I'm Dr. Angela Yeagley. Today I want to talk about probiotics and a question that I get all the time. Should I really take them and do I really need them? And the answer to that is pretty simple. Most people, yes, but actually I'm going to qualify that because actually there are a group of people that really do not need probiotics and should not take them. So stick with me and I'm going to get to that. So what are they? They are basically just good bacteria. So in our gut we have living, what we would call bad or pathogenic bacteria. We have yeast, we have parasites, and the good bacteria actually work on repairing the gut, and they do much more than that. So what we're finding now, the research is incredible. Most people think of probiotics, if my stomach hurts, I'm having some gas, something like that, and those can be appropriate ways to use probiotics. When you're thinking about if somebody has IBS or diagnosed with Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or any sort of gut dysfunction, they can be helpful. But here's the cool thing. They're finding now there are specific strains that are associated with weight loss, with helping with Parkinson's, with reversing some of the symptoms and the presence of type 2 diabetes. Also looking at other autoimmune conditions and helping them as well as Alzheimer's. So there's much more going on in the gut than we really quite understand, and so this is where they can be quite beneficial. So I mentioned there's a group of people that really should not take probiotics at least until the condition is resolved, and this is what that might look like. So if somebody has excessive gas, excessive bloating, lots of belching, and when I say excessive, some guys, might say like, oh, well, that's good. That's good news. Some gas is okay. Actually, that can be very normal, especially if you're doing tons of vegetables. But, painful gas, to the point where you feel like you can't control it, and your gut is really distended, then you might have bacterial overgrowth, and that's also known as Sibo. And in that case, taking probiotics is actually like adding fuel to a fire, and you absolutely do not want to do that. And likely, this is a problem that's got into your small intestine. So anyway, that needs to be treated, and everything needs to be balanced before you can consider bringing something like that in. And that can be tested for. So what kind of probiotic? That's another question I get. Like, what is the best kind of probiotic for me? There are so many different brands out there, and what I'll leave you with in that, I'm not going to recommend a specific brand because they vary so much, but what you need to look for is a multi-strain probiotic. And typically, if it's a well-respected brand, if you can find reviews online, where they're culturing out their bacteria from, if you can get more than 5, 10, 15 strains, 20 strains, that's fantastic. And that means the number of bacteria. You look like Lactobacillus, Bifidobacterium, those would be 2 strains. So you see them listed, 15 to 20 strains would be amazing. Then how many? And they call it Cfus or colony units. So a lot of brands will have actually pretty small amounts. Ideally you're looking for 25 billion, 50 billion. For most commercial probiotics, that's about as much as you're going to find. Some of the professional brands have quite a bit more, but you can always combine those. Some people might have heard of VSL, which is also, it's prescription in some states. They have them at 150 billion, 300 billion, 450 billion. So you can kind of see the range there. And they tend to be extremely beneficial. So looking at, some people will say, well, can't I just use food? I really don't want to take a supplement. And I've been doing kefir and I've been doing yogurt. And that is okay if you're not dairy intolerant and don't have a dairy allergy, it's okay. But you're looking at millions, if you have a good product, millions of bacteria as opposed to billions. So if you're actually trying to treat something, it's not likely to get you where you want to go. But you can support the gut with foods. You want to feed them. And what do you feed good bacteria? Whole foods, of course, which are also anti-inflammatory. So lots of veggies, especially certain starches. So veggies that are like potato starch, believe it or not, is actually used as it just feeds the bugs and it doesn't get absorbed, which is really interesting. And that's an extract you can find, as well as glucomannan. And again, just thinking about veggie starches and fiber, all of those are fantastic for our gut. But also not just fiber. Omega-3s really help our probiotics grow in our gut, as well as MCT oil, which is extract of coconut, and coconut oil. All of those help the gut. What are bad? Omega-6s have been found to actually be really hard on your bacteria. So that's like, any veggie type oil, and a lot of it. So sunflower, soy, canola, we really don't want to be using those. So then coming back to, what's going to affect your probiotics. Excuse me, so like if you're doing antibiotics, if you're doing acid blockers, if you're doing NSAIDs, which are like Advil, ibuprofen, all of those are actually going to have a negative impact on your bacteria. And so just to wrap it up, looking at resources, there is a great book that's called The Microbiome Solution that I really like, that I would encourage you to check out. And if you have any questions about your probiotic, or, is your probiotic, good for you, or if you would like to do testing, you're having those symptoms of extreme gas and bloating, or just have questions overall, we're here. We'd love to see you. We'd love to talk with you. Definitely reach out. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you next time.